Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, coming at you with my unboxing and first impressions video of the new FOXXD Miro from Metro by T-Mobile. So let's get started. Follow me on Instagram at KevinBreezeTV. Please join the Kevin Breeze Tech community on Facebook to chat about budget smartphones, ask questions, and help others. This device was just launched today on June 24th, and there's been a lot of anticipation and hype for it. If you've watched my previous videos about the phone, including the variety of leaks that have come out, then I'm sure you've also been looking forward to this as well. Now, this is by no means going to be a high-end device. It is a lower-end phone with lower-end specifications, but this is the first time that I've ever used a phone from the FOXXD brand, and I'm really looking forward to them potentially putting out more devices on other carriers in the future. I would also like to give a shout out to the local Metro by T-Mobile store that I bought this at. The associate over there took very good care of me, and overall, getting this device was a great experience. So if you live in the Phoenix, Arizona area and you're looking for the best Metro by T-Mobile store to go to, then send me a DM on Twitter or Instagram and I'll direct you to where you should go. I also got this really cool Metro by T-Mobile bag, so overall, it was just a great buying experience. So here is the front of the box. We have, of course, FOXXD Miro here at the top, a picture of the phone itself, 4G LTE enabled, and the Metro by T-Mobile logo. Then on the backside here, we have some basic specifications about the device, but I'm going to go over these throughout the video, so we don't really need to read over these right now. I'm now going to cut open the seal and get into the box here. So the first thing we have is the device itself. We're going to put this off to the side for a second and see what else is included in the box. We have a micro USB cable for charging and data transfer, and this is a pretty thick USB cable, so it looks like it's very nice and good quality. We have a FOXXD branded USB wall adapter, the Metro by T-Mobile SIM card, and we have a FOXXD Miro quick start guide. Now the quick start guide does feature a lot of details about the phone, so that's definitely good to see. So if you are new to using an Android device, or if you're trying to troubleshoot something, then you can always go to here to get your answers. So here is the device, and I like how they kind of point out what everything is here. So if you're not as technologically literate as I might be, then you can follow the lines here to see what everything does. We'll peel this plastic off the top and peel the plastic off the back. And here is the phone itself. Now before we turn this on, I did want to mention the pricing for this device. So the official price tag for the phone is $99.99, but it's most likely that you will not be paying that full amount. For me personally, I created a new line and went with the $40 plan. So in addition to that, I had to pay taxes and the $15 activation fee. So I paid $56.80 in total out the door with this phone, and that includes 1 month of service. So overall, I think that's a really good value. So if you're looking for an inexpensive device to buy, then this might be a good option for you. But let's turn this on now and get things set up. Here we go, FOXXD, powered by Android. Now it's a very tall phone, that's one thing I noticed for sure. Now it features an 18:9 aspect ratio display coming in at 5.45 inches, so it's definitely a pretty tall device, but that's not a bad thing by any means. Here we go, Metro by T-Mobile on the boot screen. Now the 18:9 aspect ratio is taller than your standard 16:9 device. So it is nice to see that this entry-level device does have an 18:9 aspect ratio, because that's something that we hadn't seen in budget phones up until recently. So I'm gonna get this set up, and I'm actually gonna put the SIM card in later, but I'm gonna get this set up right now and cut over to the home screen. So I'm now over to the home screen, and out of the box, the battery is pretty low on charge. So I'm definitely going to want to charge this up before I get too deep into things. But overall, just by using this device briefly, I've noticed it to be very unique compared to many of the other lower end Android smartphones out there. Recently, I reviewed the LG Aristo 3 from Metro by T-Mobile, and I reviewed the Samsung Galaxy J2 from Metro by T-Mobile, and this device is definitely a lot different than those. The main reason definitely has to be this very large and tall display. So the 5.45 inches is very tall for the display, but in addition to that, there's no notch, which you can tell, of course, by looking at the top here. So that makes the display feel even bigger. Now, we also have very large bezels on the top and bottom, and the phone itself is actually pretty thick. So that's another thing I noticed. It's not the slimmest phone out there, but it does feel nice and solid. So it doesn't feel like it bends or creaks when you hold it in your hand, and overall it feels like a very solid and well-built handset. but it's really hard to compare it to any other Android phones in this budget price range that I've used in the past. It doesn't feel like an LG device or a Samsung device, it really feels like something of its own. So the camera definitely seems kind of interesting here, especially because of this face tracker. So the face tracker has like a little mouth on it, and it really does follow around my face. So typically, with budget phones in this price range, the front-facing camera doesn't look as good and clear as this does. Of course, it doesn't look fantastic, and you're not going to win any photography awards with it, but remember how cheap this phone is, and I really feel like for the price, you're getting a pretty good front-facing camera. Of course, I'm going to have to take actual photos with it and get out of this office here and take photos out in normal daylight, but so far it looks pretty clear. And again, it looks decently clear for the price. So I'm pretty confident actually in the cameras on this phone. I think the results are going to be decent for what you're paying, but of course we're going to have to look at the final results to really judge that. Now going to the settings here, you can see that there are a ton of different photography settings on this device. So you can change things like the flash, GPS location, picture size, the picture quality, countdown timer, storage, continuous shot, sound, preview size, face detection, ISO exposure, ZSL, white balance, focus mode, red eye reduction, and restore. So there's a ton of different options here. And of course, we're going to go over all of this in the full review video, but it looks like they really packed this camera app with a bunch of different features. Now I'd imagine once everything finishes installing and updating and I fill up the battery to 100%, the device will run a lot faster. And again, you have to remember that this is a very inexpensive entry-level smartphone. Now up top here, we have a 5 megapixel front-facing camera. We have an 8 megapixel camera on the back side. This device features 2 gigabytes of RAM and has a 1.1 gigahertz quad-core processor from Qualcomm. It has a 2,450 milliamp hour internal battery and runs Android 8.1 Oreo as the operating system. It would have been nice to see this have Android 9 Pie at launch, and hopefully later on, FOXXD will update the device to Android 9 Pie. Now the backside of this device is plastic, as you'd pretty much expect. We have a pretty large speaker here on the back side. Of course, there's the camera module and the FOXXD logo. Then on the top side, we have a noise-canceling microphone, the 3.5mm headphone jack, and then on the bottom, we have the microphone and micro USB port. So overall, some decently stylish hardware. The material on the back doesn't really absorb fingerprints either, which is great to see. Now, there is no fingerprint sensor with this device, which is kind of a disappointment, but I suppose it's one of the compromises that you have to make at this low price tag. Now, you can actually pop off the back of the phone, and you need to do it to access the SIM card slot and micro SD card slot. So here's what the phone looks like with the back removed. Now you can see the battery is right here, but it is a non-removable battery. We have the SIM card slot on the right side and the micro SD card slot on the left side. Overall, it was very easy to remove this cover here. And another thing that's interesting is that you can see how wide the speaker grill is on the back, but the actual speaker is a lot smaller. But this is the new FOXXD Miro for Metro by T-Mobile. Now I'm looking forward to activating my SIM card, putting it in this device, and using the device for a bit. Now let me know what you think of the phone itself, and if you have any specific requests you'd like me to include in a future video. Also let me know if you're planning on buying this device and what you think of it overall. But personally, I think this is a pretty decent device for the price so far from my initial impressions. Again, I really like the really tall and thin form factor. It definitely makes it feel like a more expensive phone than it is. And overall, it really does stand out from a lot of the lower end devices that we've seen come out from other manufacturers such as LG and Samsung. But I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Kevin Breeze here. Life is a breeze, and I will see you in the next video.